audience, we're also hosting this in Vernacular. We have the Indian CST team who support us majorly and take care of the KisanMitr platform. And they do the creative, they ensure that the whole content is passed on to different partners. And that's how we've been rolling this out. At NSR Cell, we have the Entrepreneur Hub at Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. And we've been supporting the startup ecosystem slowly but surely over the last 2 decades. And our focus is sector agnostic. While I say that, there have been some innate trends and advantages and strengths that we've noticed over a period of time. So our focus right now is on agri and rural entrepreneurship and fintech, healthcare, and of course, we continue to be an open sector. So we have the support of both the corporate as well as the government bodies to support us in this, right? And Department of Science and Technology is one of our partners, Niti Aayog, the Principal Scientific Advisors Office as well. And we have corporate partners such as Infineon and Indian Institute of Millet Research, AgHub, which is another partner of ours, and a part of PJTSAU in Telangana. So we have a strong network when you talk about how do we experiment. So if you're looking at accessing labs and agronomists and scientists in the agri space, this is an access that you have as well. So with this, we'll kickstart today. And while we wait for the farmer to join in, I would like Mr. Ravi, our keynote speaker for today, to say what he's doing and how he's actually helping us all. Let's say he's working with the government of Karnataka, right? So I'd like to know what is the kind of impression that he has and how he plans to go about looking at it, and to share a little about what he's doing. He's a fellow in agriculture, works with the Indian Administrative Fellowship with the government of Karnataka. And he's also had certain corporate experience and investments in, with the startups as well. So if you're looking at grabbing somebody's attention, the stage is all yours for the innovators today. So, right, over to you, Ravi, to know what are you working on in specific with the government of Karnataka, and what is the support you think that the startups can gain both from you as a person as well as with the government of Karnataka, and how we can work collaboratively to get this, greener pastures really green. Over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. First of all, thanks for having me here. Hope you can hear me clearly. My role is a unique one. It works with the Principal Secretary Agriculture, and we are trying to bring A, innovation to the grassroots, to the farmers, and B, market access to the farmers. And while we can delve deeper into various collaborations for the agri-tech startups, the ideas would be, if they are looking to pilot, they can definitely send in their ideas or proposals, because we are as a state looking at many innovative ideas. And in fact, I'm one of the person who's screening them and looking at what can be piloted. So that's one action item for them. And then, of course, like you said about the investment, that's more on the personal side. I still do a little bit of that, but that we can kind of maybe chat up later. Since today was more for farmers, and I know there are some KVKs, although I think being a Saturday, we have maybe a little low attendance, but nonetheless, I want to go ahead and give you something very concrete rather than, giving a very big picture view. And so I thought, let me share the work or the stuff that we have looked at and what have we found out. So we have looked at, like, from an AI and technology and market lens, how to increase farmer income. And this slide, the next one, actually covers the areas we have delved a little deeper into. I won't bore you with each of them because each of them in itself is like an hour or 2 hour discussion. But instead, I have picked up 3 for discussion today, 2 of them belonging to the AI realm and 1 from the market side. So with that, let's get started. The first one is and these all have become possible because of artificial intelligence and technology-led innovation that has happened. So the first idea in terms of increasing farmer income that also helps with sustainability is around the carbon sequestration. Again, some of you may be already aware of this market and this concept. The idea works as follows. If you increase the carbon in the soil, it actually increases the health of the soil. And there are organizations who would buy these carbon credits, and you thus by having what is known as sustainable agriculture practices are also getting extra cash for it. And this has also become possible more recently because now we have AI based technology, which actually through remote sensing can detect how much carbon you have in your soil. So that's the first idea I wanted to share. And this is just a flow diagram. What happens? You as a farmer have to do a tie-up with many of these organizations. I have mentioned one of them here, and you continue your practices, hopefully more sustainable. And as you do more of it, you get like a cash back. Now, what does the math look like? Because the next obvious question, if you're a farmer on the call, and I hope there are more of them, is कितना पैसा इसमें बन सकता है, how much can you make of it? And this is an estimate using some numbers which say if let's say you sequester 3 tons of carbon dioxide. Again, some of this may seem little buzzwords, but essentially you can imagine the carbon dioxide from the air that you're removing. There is a measurement of that, and let's say you do on average 3. This is probably more of an aggressive estimate, if I may. Usually people do between, if you're doing maybe organic farming, you're probably doing 3, but maybe you're otherwise doing 1 or 2. But if you do 3, then you're looking at somewhere around 2,500 rupees per acre extra that you're getting. And this we are trying to actually pilot and see if we can onboard maybe a lakh farmer, and we'll get around 62 crores of disbursement to farmer. The idea is very simple. You continue to do the same thing, and these are the highlights that you will do. You will continue to do the same thing, and good practices. For example, reducing tillage, using organic mulching of the biomass, using cover crops, reducing intensive chemical fertilizer, or using compost. If you do all of these, you actually help increase the carbon in the soil, and you are getting a cash incentive for it. So that was idea number 1. In the interest of time, again, if there are questions, I'll take at the end. Idea number 2 is, again, early pest management or pest detection using AI has also been possible. This is an example of what, say, an organization like Vadwani has worked on the cotton. Pink bollworm, as you know, is one of the key pests in cotton. And the way it works is you have a pheromone trap, and you put 2 of those traps in 1 acre, and every maybe 3 days you go and check the the images of the insects caught in the trap and take a picture of it. And this app that has actually been developed will tell you whether you have a green, yellow, or red status. And through that, it will also tell you what amount of spray and what quantity you should spray. The idea is often there may be infestation, but you don't know the level of infestation. And hence, to know even if you're in a yellow, green, or a red zone is very key. And this again has been piloted, is being looked upon as bigger pilot. We are also taking it up. But what we have seen from the data presented to us, that you can save around 20% insecticide or pesticide, and somewhere 10 to 15% you will go down. The idea of sharing this is there are solutions like this who are now coming up in the market to be aware of that. And if you are one of the cotton farmers, this is something you can test it out and see if it helps you. So this is kind of the second one I wanted to share. The first one was the carbon credit. The second is the early test. And the third one is a market one, which is more of an idea, which again, I want to share with all of you, especially the farmers. As you know, due to the geopolitical unrest, there are many opportunities that are appearing that have come up in the space, right? We know about the wheat. This is an area where we are kind of particularly focused and we are aware of, which is sunflower. As you know, if you look at sunflower oil as a market, 90% of it is actually imported today. And 60 or rather 70% of that comes from Ukraine and Russia. And the point is, if you look at what price increases we have seen, this is a math I had done. We're already seeing 30% price increase because there's no supply. This already results in like $1.2 billion of extra money that the India has to pay because of them having to import, or we having to import the sunflower oil. So if you look at it, as we see the trend, this is a good time if you are or who have ever grown sunflower, which actually is also a short duration crop, to consider looking at that. It is both good economically and for our self-reliant status. I mean, this is an opportunity which I guess each farmer before every season should evaluate based on their soil health, based on what they can do and what price to kind of they can expect. And I know there are farmers who are very smart and already thought about it and they're looking at it. Of course, one thing which will happen is as you go deeper into it, all of a sudden we can't increase the area very quickly because there has to be enough seed. and for seed you need to grow a season before. So maybe this season we could maybe have, I don't know, maybe X% extra farmers do it, but by next season we definitely will be ready, and this can be grown in all 3 seasons. So this is a, I guess, opportunity. So 3 ideas just to kind of close my kind of session. 2 ideas from AI based on carbon sequestration, which can, if you do sustainable farming, get extra cash. 1 idea on early pest detection from AI. And the third one is based on the market, how something like a sunflower today could be a good crop to grow. With that, over to you, Mukta, and happy to take any questions around it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ravi. Ravi, would you mind sharing your details in terms of at least your coordinates?
Sure.
Or if you have a blog on the chat, so that
Yes.
one can reach out to you even as the conversation continues to flow and people come in. So I think that would really help. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing those details. So we've come back to a position of more demand and less supply, at least as far as sunflower is concerned. And that looks like a cash crop right now, does it?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, cash crop, because they could be, if the supply increases, then I think a lot more could change. Autif, do we have Arjun ji ready? Namaskar, Arjun ji, कैसे हैं आप? आप पहले बार आए हैं हमारे साथ यहाँ बात करने. आप कहाँ से? नमस्कार. आप कहाँ से ज्वाइन किया है आपने? यूपी से हैं आप?
मवाना से. हाँ जी, मवाना से, मेरठ के पास मवाना.
अच्छा, ओके. तो फाइनली आपने ऐसे तैसे करके लॉग इन कर ही लिया. थैंक यू सो मच. आज आप आए. तो आप हमें ये बताइए कि आर्टिफिशियल इंसेमिनेशन जो है, जो आप जीके भमानिया के कंपनी के साथ आप ये काम कर रहे हैं, आप थोड़ा हमें ये बताइए, ये कब से कर रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं? जैसे पहले हमने बातचीत की थी, तो ये कितने साल हो गए आपको करके, और ये क्यों कर रहे हैं?
मुझे उनके साथ में ये लगभग 10-11 साल हो गए जी. 2011 से है.
अच्छा, 2011 से. और ये तो अर्जुन जी बैठे हैं ना आपके साथ?
हाँ जी.
अच्छा.
नहीं, नरेश जी है. नरेश जी वे तो आए नहीं. नरेश जी हैं.
अच्छा अच्छा, तो नरेश जी आए हैं. अच्छा, ठीक है त्रिवेदी जी. तो ये 211 से आप ये कर रहे हैं, है ना? 2011 से, है ना?
जी जी.
तो तब आपके पास
कार्य तो मैं काफी 2006 से कर रहा हूँ ऐसे कार्य तो. अच्छा,
वो तो आप वैसे भी कर रहे थे, लेकिन 2011 से आप इनके साथ काम कर रहे हैं, जेके बमानिया के साथ, है ना?
जी
तो
जी.
आपको तब और अब का नस्ल में क्या फर्क दिखता है?
ये जी, पहले तो जो गाय लगभग 8-7 लीटर दूध देती थी, वो जब से ब्रीडिंग का कार्य हुआ, अब लगभग 15-20 लीटर तक दे रही है जी.
अच्छा, और ये प्रोसेस अभी आप सबको सिखा दिया गया है क्या? कितने फार्मर्स, कितने किसान इस पे काम कर रहे हैं?
किसान तो ये मानो जी, किसान तो लड़के करते हैं यही, तो किसान तो अपने पशु बढ़ा रहे हैं और ज्यादा, मतलब दूध पैदावार ज्यादा हो रही है.
अच्छा,
रोजगार चला है, डेयरी वगैरह होगी अब तक गाँवों में.
ओके. Atif, I'd like you to take over some more questions, please.
तो आप नरेश जी को बताइए, ताकि वो अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करें, कि नरेश जी हमारे साथ हैं जो फार्मर हैं, और अरविंद जी जो हैं ये जीके भमानिया की कंपनी के साथ काम करते हैं और ये असिस्ट करते हैं फार्मर्स को, आर्टिफिशियल इंसेमिनेशन की टेक्नोलॉजी में हेल्प करते हैं. तो नरेश जी आप बताइए, आपका कैसा एक्सपीरियंस रहा है जीके भमानिया की कंपनी से काम करने के बाद, कि पहले क्या आउटपुट रहता था आपके, जो फॉर एग्जांपल आपकी जो गाय थी, तो अब क्या डिफरेंस है, पहले क्या डिफरेंस था, और इनके साथ काम करने के बाद कैसा आपको लग रहा है? कुछ फर्क आया है या नहीं आया है?
सबसे पहली मेन बात तो इसमें यह है कि जो हमारे पशु हुआ करते थे वो बहुत ही बच्चे उनके उबड़ खाबड़ से आया करते थे, कोई खास नस्ल नहीं थी. लेकिन जब से डॉक्टर अरविंद आए हैं उसके बाद से काफी अच्छी नस्ल पैदा होने लगी है, और जब से नस्ल अच्छी हुई है तो उसमें दूध की भी प्रोग्रेस हुई है, देखने में भी सुंदर लगते हैं, मतलब हर तरीके से संतुष्ट है हम.
ओके ओके, ठीक ठीक. ये आपके गांव में कितने लोग इस चीज के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं? ये मतलब जीके भमानिया के जो टीम है, कितने लोग आपके गांव में से इसके साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, मतलब कितने लोग इस टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज कर रहे हैं?
लगभग मेरे ख्याल से 40 से 55% के आसपास है.
ओके ओके, तो फर्क पड़ा है, और स्पेशली जो आउटपुट है दूध का, जो पहले कितने लीटर आता था और अब कितना आता है, तो ओवरऑल एम्पावरमेंट आया होगा, तो इनकम बढ़ गया होगा
मैं
फैमिली का, तो कैसा है, कैसा रहा
हाँ,
है?
सब चीज उसमें ऐसा हुआ है। पहले जो पशु मान के चलो, सपोज करो जैसे कि गाय है, 7-8 लीटर पर रुक जाती थी अच्छी खिलाई पिलाई करने के बावजूद भी।
ओके।
और अब वही गाय 15 लीटर के आसपास है,
जी
वही खिलाई पिलाई चल रही है। लेकिन इसमें डॉक्टर अरविंद का बहुत बड़ा हाथ है।
जी जी जी,
कुछ समय
ठीक।
समय पर कीड़ों की दवाई देना, मिनरल मिक्सचर, कैल्शियम वगैरह, इस
ओके।
तरीके से जैसे भी इनसे इंस्ट्रक्शंस मिलते हैं उस हिसाब से हम काम करते हैं। तो
ठीक।
काफी अच्छा प्रोग्रेस हमें मिल रहा है इस कंपनी से जुड़ करके
अच्छा,
डॉक्टर अरविंद जी के साथ।
तो इनकी कंपनी के थ्रू आपको ओवरऑल सिर्फ आर्टिफिशियल इंसेमिनेशन में नहीं, लेकिन बाकी चीजों में भी काफी सारा सपोर्ट मिलता है इस चीज को
हाँ हाँ
करने में।
हाँ।
जी जी, ठीक ठीक है। या और टू यू मुक्ता या?
इसमें मैं एक बात बोलना चाहता हूँ जी, जैसे मान के चलो, सपोज
हाँ।
करो कोई गाय है या भैंस है,
जी जी।
वो कभी कभी ओवर हिट हो जाती है, कई कई दिन हिट पर रहती है, तो उसके
हाँ,
लिए आ,
ठीक है
क्या
ठीक।
करना चाहिए?
ठीक ठीक ठीक, तो ये पूरा का पूरा आपको हेल्प करते हैं इस चीज में कि कैसे इस चीज से मतलब कैसे प्रोडक्टिविटी इंक्रीज करें, कैसे बेस्ट बेटर नस्ल की एक्चुअली बात है जो इवेंचुअली आपको उस चीज में हेल्प करते हैं इनकी कंपनी, कि एक अच्छी सी नस्ल
हाँ
कैसे
जी।
एक गाय का है जो इवेंचुअली ज्यादा आउटपुट मिल्क के साथ हो। तो ठीक है, ये सब। या ओवर टू यू मुक्ता, सो आई थिंक।
थैंक्स आतिफ। सो त्रिवेदी जी और नरेश जी, आप एक्सेल ब्रीडिंग एंड लाइवस्टॉक सर्विसेज प्राइवेट लिमिटेड के साथ काफी साल से काम कर रहे हैं। और आपने अभी जो बात कही है, हम उसी चीज को इंग्लिश में थोड़ा समराइज करके, जो बाकी लोग भी आए हैं उनको भी समझाने के लिए हम थोड़ा उसको समराइज करके बताएंगे। सो I'd like to share with all the participants that he has been working with Excel Breeding and Livestock Services Private Limited for a while. And what they see is their service, their product is artificial insemination. And because of which the health of the cattle, whether it's a cow or a buffalo, has been pretty good. And the kind of yield in terms of milk that they give is also pretty high. It has increased anywhere from about 7 liters to almost the double. And so it obviously gives a good yield and then a great income for the farmer as well. And apart from which, this firm is also helping them through market access and also giving tips and holding sessions on how they need to take care of the cattle. So Arjun ji, क्या ये कहने, सॉरी नरेश जी, ये कहने में सही रहेगा कि जो आप इनके ये कंपनी के साथ काम कर रहे हैं, आपको सिर्फ नस्ल और दूध ज्यादा होने का फायदा नहीं है, पर इसके अलावा आपको मार्केट एक्सेस भी देखते हैं और आपको ये भी बताते हैं कि कैसे उनको देखभाल करना है, कहीं कोई दिक्कत होती है तो उसमें भी मदद करते हैं, है ना?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, बिल्कुल।
हाँ जी, थैंक यू सो मच। आप आए और अपनी बात कही, आपका जो इनके साथ काम करने का तरीका है और उससे क्या फायदा हुआ है, तो ये हम सभी जानना चाह रहे थे, क्योंकि जिनको भी अगर कुछ काम करना है तो फिर वो वापस आके इनके साथ इनको पूछेंगे कि आपके साथ कैसे जुड़े और एक्सेल ब्रीडिंग कंपनी के साथ कैसे जुड़े और काम करें। तो अभी हम अगले स्पीकर की तरफ जाते हैं। थैंक यू आपके वक्त के लिए, और आपने लॉग इन करके आप अपनी बात फाइनली बता पाए, क्योंकि हम इंतजार कर रहे थे आपका, और किसी और को भी बात करने का मौका दे दिया फिर इसी वजह से। ठीक है, शुक्रिया, थैंक यू। अभी आप दूसरों को भी बात सुनिएगा, आप म्यूट कर लीजिएगा और दूसरों की बात सुनिएगा, ताकि आपको भी पता चले कुछ और नया टेक्नोलॉजी है या कोई नई तरीका है कुछ करने का, तो शायद आपको भी कुछ फायदा हो। और अगर आपको किसी से कनेक्ट करनी है तो आप हमें बताइएगा वापस फोन करके कि किसके साथ कनेक्ट करना है, ताकि आप दोनों को बातचीत होने का मौका दें हम, और आगे आप देख सकते हैं आपको कैसे उनके साथ काम करना है। ठीक है, थैंक यू, धन्यवाद। Over to the next speaker for today. We've had the keynote speaker, Mr. Ravi, and we've also had the farmer finally speak in and coming and speak in. And now we're going over to the next speaker for today. We have Mr. Vinay. Mr. Vinay, are you all set? Mr. Vinay Chaturaju is the co-founder and business head of Krishnam Technologies. And he's going to speak on the importance of measurement of water in agriculture and how, if used properly, it can yield a better result and also reduce wastage. Over to you, Vinay. Please go ahead.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Just a second. Yeah, hi. Thank you, everyone. Is my screen still visible?
Yeah, very much. Please go ahead. So
it shows.
So Vinay is the founder of Krishnam Technologies, and they are currently based out of Telangana, right? And over to you, Vinay. I can hear you. Just go ahead and start speaking about your solution. It's perfectly fine.
Can you see my screen moving?
Yes, we are able to see your screen. Go ahead.
Right. Hi, Vinay from Krishnam Technologies. So we are a company, 6-year-old startup. We started from IIT Kanpur. We had a good time of almost 5 years spent inside IIT Kanpur campus doing a lot of research on various water measurement technologies. So we have developed multiple instruments to measure water resources in real time and thereby help water users better manage their water resources. We have taken various different sources of water starting from rivers, lakes, ponds, canals, tanks, borewells, groundwater, all of them. How can we measure various different types of water at various places, and how do we increase efficiency at various points is what our primary work has been there. So as part of that, so if we look at it, almost 85% of the water which we use is go for the agriculture within India. If our plant do not include how the usage of agriculture, how the usage of water within the agriculture, then there is no point. So the problems which we are currently looking at is, the over exploitation of the groundwater because of measurement of water not being, the water not being measured from the groundwater is leading to inefficient water practices, which lead to the water crisis, and so might have inefficient water for the second crop. So what we have observed is, so the most important, the biggest challenge in the water is basically the measurement. It is very difficult to measure the water because so
please change your slide.
Yeah, that is what I was asking.
On to the next slide. Yeah.
No,
it's
there's
not
option of resume share was not working there. Just a second.
Should I share your screen?
Share it. You can continue to speak. Please continue.
Yeah.
Will help.
This is better. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah. Now
yeah. In case you have a challenge in between, Author will share the screen and you can continue talking.
Yeah,
sure. It should not be. It should be a problem. Yeah, right. So the measurement of water is one of the most critical challenge in the water resources. So we have been seeing, including the households. So if nobody have a clear idea how much water do we use, if we cannot measure something, so it is very difficult to optimize it or so increase the efficiency of it. So this is the major problem which we are trying to solve, and we have seen that so from the government of India there are various schemes which are available, including Atal Bhujal Yojana, National Hydrology Project, where they are encouraging the usage of instrumentation for the measurement of the water resources at various places. So a National Hydrology Project focuses more on the water sources like rivers, lakes, and canals. Atal Bhujal Yojana, which primarily focuses on the groundwater, is focused on conservation of the groundwater, primarily for the agricultural purposes. That's one where the government schemes are working on. Where to do that, to measure the flow of water from the pipes, so we need a digital flow meter. That's a standard mechanism for doing it. And the current available flow meters with the remote communication option, which is the telemetry, cost in the range of almost 50,000 rupees per meter, which is on a very higher side for us, for any agricultural purpose to use such kind of product. This is what we have with us, so a smart ultrasonic flow meter, which is fully battery operated. It's just a plug and play type of device. We just need to cut the pipe, install the meter within the pipe, and it start measuring how much water is being abstracted, and we can see the data directly on the online. We have supplied more than 400 meters so far, mostly to the industrial and the domestic users, and it has been certified for ISO 4064 at FCRI Palakkad laboratory, which is a standard laboratory within the India. We have a current selling price for the agricultural purposes in the scale of around 25,000 for a 50 mm dia. 50 mm is a 2-inch dia pipe. The same market product, which is coming at 50,000 rupees, can be purchased at 25,000 rupees. So with us. So with this, whichever the pipe we are using, it's a groundwater pipe or so any other pipe which we have, which has a flowing water within the pipe, can measure how much water is being flown in the pipe, and send the data in the real time to the cloud to get to view the access in a desktop, mobile, or even laptops, SMS. We have the data accessible for that. So this is how usually the meters are installed in the pipe in the real time. So both of them are the bore wells. As you can see on the left hand side, we install a very simple, in a easy to install way. We measure. So the water which is coming out of the pipe, so to see how much water is being abstracted. So there are various methodologies which the farmers or the users measure based on, so what is your pump capacity, how much time you are running the motor, so there are some empirical ways with which we measure the water. But again, because it's all manually done and we don't have a real-time measurement on, so am I actually doing correct? Am I actually doing more? Am I irrigating more or less? So this is a measurement device which can very precisely tell up to 2% of the within 2% error limits or 98% accuracies, with which it can say that, okay, so what you have actually taken 10,000 liters, 15,000 liters, 20,000 liters from this borewell or for this particular crop. This is going to be a very important tool for the agricultural purposes. So if we can measure the water as much as possible, it is going to bring the it is going to bring the efficiency, increase the water usage efficiency in the crops. Like so Mr. Ravi was mentioning about so usage of water in the carbon credits for this. So recently we have started a project with VNB advisories on so how measurement of water can so add value to the carbon credit measurement. So we just started this project in the state of Maharashtra, where almost 200 locations are being monitored, the bore wells which are primarily used for the agriculture, to measure how much water is actually being pumped out of the bore wells, which can be counted to the carbon credits. Yeah, so we have already raised pre-series A round so of 6 crores from marquee investors, including Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy from Scient, Kunal Shah from Cred, Mr. Ashish Gupta from Helion Ventures there. So in the next round, we are looking at further reducing the cost of the product. Even though we have reduced the cost of the product by 50%, we still see a fair amount of scope for the reduction of the cost, because to supply for the farmer. So if I cannot supply for a farmer in less than 10,000 rupees, it is not likely to scale across the country. So we are on a mission to reduce the cost of the product as much as possible to that, so the adoption of such instruments in the agriculture sector is very highly so increased. So, and also as part of it, we are looking for some support from supply chain management, so to reduce the access, to reduce the time of access to the components, say electronics or mechanical components, through which we can reduce the cost of the price. And also, so we have been, as I mentioned, so there are many 8 states which are implementing Atal Bhujal, including government of Karnataka, which is so implementing Atal. As part of it, so there is a provision to install a lot of flow meters in each state. But again, because of lack of clear understanding on what type of meters to be installed, usually people install the mechanical flow meters where we do not get the data, which is of no use. If we do not have the data accessible, remotely, the applicability of the installation of the meter is not very much fulfilled. Again, so in one of the discussions with the Principal Secretary, Government of India, Ministry of Jal Shakti, we have given a very strong presentation that if the data is not utilized from the meters, the installation of the meters is of no use. So we seek some support, if so from everywhere. How can we persuade the Atal Bhujal states to go for the telemetry-based flow meters installation within the country, within the state, so that we have better data, we can do the better analysis, or better output, we can do it. So that's broadly about us. So you can reach me on vinay@kritznam.com, and yeah, so you can also visit us at kritznam.com if you want to understand more about the product. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vinay. Please share your details and coordinates on the chat as well. And that was a very interesting one. Can we go back to that slide on the funding one, please? You were talking about that Atal Bhujal states. I just wanted to go back on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were saying that you intend to work in 8 Atal Bhujal states, right?
Correct.
So have you already identified some connect there, or how do you plan to go about it? What do you plan?
We have started with UP, one such state, so there are other states we are yet to establish the contact. Just that UP we have already established, so we're working with the government with, there's one opportunity for the 800 flow meters have been there. We have participated in the tender, and that's what is active. So,
okay, let's do this offline. Please send out a mail to me mentioning this challenge that you have and whom you would like to connect to, and give me a little more details on whom you've reached out to, which state and all of that, right? Okay. So let's see how we can help you on that. Probably Mr. Ravi and NSRCL might be able to help you on this. Let's explore. Yeah, thank you. With this, after listening to how water can be used better and also taking care of, I think somewhere it's like a solution similar to the arid zones, right? So we'll go over to the next speaker for today. Thank you, Vinay, for chipping in. I'd like to share with you all that we had another speaker who was the CEO and founder of Excel Breeds, who was supposed to come in today, but he was not able to come in because of certain exigencies, business exigencies, which came up in the last minute. And so we had to, we had an extra slot and we had Vinayji come in. And thank you so much for sharing that. I think that would be a solution that's much required in the current scenario. Thanks, Vinay. Please share details on the chat and then we'll go ahead to the next speaker for today. We have Dr. S. Barnik, Mr. Shantanu Barnik. Thank you so much, Shantanu ji, for coming in today. He's the principal scientist, animal genetics and breeding. And he is a part of the ICR Institute National Research Center on Pig in specific. And today he's going to share a little on the status of piggery and technological interventions for its sustainable development. So over to Mr. Shantanu. Dr. Shantanu, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Let me share. I think
yes.
Slides are visible.
Yes, yes, it is. Please go ahead.
And it is moving also?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So you can continue talking about the problem. Yeah, so you've come in from Guwahati, Assam.
Right. Very good morning, one and all. Let me introduce first myself, then my institutes, and what we are doing particularly, and basically my area of specialization. So I am Dr. Banik from ICR NRC on Pig. Our institute, ICR National Research Center on Pig, is a ICR institute located in Assam, Guwahati. And we are working on piggery development aspects of throughout the country. It is not for Assam per se or Northeast in particular, it is for whole country. So from farm to fork, all aspects we are working, some IT interventions, some breeding technologies, management technologies, every aspects we are working on. Presently, what I will discuss today is about the breeding intervention and what is the problem, where from the problem came. So if you see the graph, the pig production, we have a very small number of pig in our country. We have a very small, presently as per latest 20th livestock census, the total pig population of the country is 9.06 million, which is very small compared to world scenario of 1,000 million of pig almost. And it is only 1% of the total world pig population. And in if you compare our livestock population of India as per 20th livestock census, it is 1.69% only. But ironically, almost all the pig germplasm which are located in the northeastern and eastern part of the country, if we see carefully, the eastern and northeastern part of the country contributes almost 63% of the pig population, and Northeast itself contributes almost 47% of the pig population of the country. And all the Northeastern, if you see the bar diagram, the second bar diagram, which indicates that first 10 states, which contributes almost 76% of the total pig population, and these are mostly concentrated in Northeastern part of the country. And pig population per 100 human population is also very high in the northeastern part. Though other parts of the country, they are also having a very important and interesting feature because of the trending of the piggery production system. Now earlier it was the pig population was with the downtrodden people. Now it has been shifted to the much more high educated entrepreneurs, young people. They are coming into pig production. But our Indian piggery system is basically, if we see the production characteristics, it is a held by small and landless farmers, and it is a very backyard entrepreneur. Means it's mostly in a backyard system. Pigs are being reared with a very locally, with low to no input to low inputs activities, with locally available feed, a lack of housing, unhygienic practices, and there is a less utilization of improved breeds and inadequate knowledge. So we are constantly working on all the aspects, including the IT sectors, mobile app development, all the aspects our institute is working on. Basically, what we will discuss today is just about the breed is concerned. If we see the breeds, what the breeds are available in pig, the basic problem in the piggery is there is non-availability. We have 10 recognized pig breeds of the country, out of which most of them are non-performing in terms of the litter size and the finish weight is concerned. Litter size and finish weight are the basic two things which animal breeder or any entrepreneur or any farmer will target to have a profitable piggery venture. So our pigs, which are the indigenous type, those are not very much good performing because their finish weight is only 60 to 70 kg, whereas we are expecting 80 to 90 kg finish weight. And where I am talking about finish weight, those who are about who are less popular with the piggery, the finish weight is coming at the age of almost 7 to 8 months. So in the age of 7 to 8 months, if you get 70 to 80 to 90 kg body weight of the pig, then it is economically viable and it is good for the commercial venture. Whereas our indigenous pigs, those are very small sized and they give merely 50 to 40 to 50 kg. So it reduces the production and the meat cost and everything is very less. So chance of profit is very less. So if we talk about the requirement of all over India, and the requirements specifically northeastern part of the country, so we have seen that almost we are deficit of 62% deficit of pig production. So that indicates that what we can do, either we can double the number of pigs or we can rear such kind of pig which are giving much more finish weight along with much more litter size. Litter size means number of piglets produced per time. Pig is a very high producing animal. So one time farrowing, it produces almost 10 to 12 piglets. So on an average. So if the litter size in our local germplasm, what we have seen that the litter size is 6 to 7 and the finish weight is also less. So multiplying litter size and finish weight, if our target was to develop such a kind of germplasm or such a kind of crossbred pig variety, which will address both these problems with higher litter size and higher finish weight. So with this target, we have initiated in 2008-9, we have initiated a systematic crossbreeding program by involving Ghungu as an indigenous pig and Duroc and Niang Mega as an exotic, Duroc and Hampshire as an exotic pig. So exotic pigs which are from outside, and unfortunately we do not have much more supply of the exotic germplasm due to high cost and certain health parameter matching with the foreign countries. So these pigs are limited. So and these exotic pigs cannot also be given to all the farmers because of their high input cost, high rearing and higher requirement of the nutritional status. So what we did, we make a crossbreeding program wherein we use the potential of the indigenous germplasm, that is Ghungu, and exotic germplasm, that is Hampshire and as well as the Duroc, and we developed a crossbred pig variety which is a very higher litter size at birth at weaning, higher litter weight at birth at weaning, and that is having a promising growth rate, better adaptability, and body condition remain excellent. So how we develop this? This is a planned crossbreeding program and systemic crossbreeding with interseminating and all other breeding practice, breeding procedure make in particular stringent selection procedure we followed for 7 to 8 generation. Presently, we have ninth generation. After 9th generation, until and unless it is stabilized in performance. So after 9th generation, it is stabilized in performance, and we have released from ICAR. We have released this two varieties. One is Rani, another is Asha, and I have delineated their production performance. And we have economically, we have tested this through different states. It is not only within our locality, not only within our state. We have tested it in different northeastern states like Manipur, even in Manipur, Assam, Meghalaya, even in West Bengal, and this breed performance at field level performance are promising. And we have calculated that nowadays there is a call from PMO, Prime Minister Office, our Honorable Prime Minister. He has a vision to doubling the farmers' income. So this breed, as compared with the local breed, if we rear these varieties, we have calculated the economic gain of almost 2.7 times than comparing with the local pigs. So this is, and for the information of the house, we have continuously connection with all the KVKs of different parts of the country. The artery is very nearby, so we are already in touch with them. And thousands of farmers, they are demanding these things, and we are supplying from us. And there is a continuous demand of this germplasm. In nutshell, at the end, I want to say that newly developed Rani and Asha processed pig variety has not only benefited the socio-economically weaker communities, including the women flock of the rural remote and remotes, in terms of their sustainable livelihood security, but also improve the production and productivity of the pigs. Thus, it is expected to mitigate the current demand and supply gap, almost, which I have shown that 62%. So that's all from my side. And addition to this, this is the varieties which are available. We have 15 All India Coordinated Research Project on pig, which is situated in different parts of the country. We have done a similar kind of breeding program for last 12 to 15 years, and we have released total 9 crossbred pig varieties throughout the country. So these two are from our institute, and we have some varieties from Kerala, some varieties from Tamil Nadu, some varieties from UP, some are from Meghalaya. So this all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shantanu Banikji. It was really nice to know about especially Rani and Asha, the two improved high producing crossbred varieties that you have come up with. So I would like to invite Dr. Rajesh Kumar Sawalji, the principal scientist at ICR National Research Center on Camel and Bikaner. His topic is camel and its milk and possibilities of entrepreneurship. So I would like to invite R.K. Sawalji, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning to all. I will present myself. I am Dr. Rajesh Kumar Sawal, working as a principal scientist at National Research Center on Camel. So you will be surprised to hear that camel is also one of the species, where we can have a lot of opportunities of entrepreneurship. Lately, the camel was used as mostly for amusements, and but however, this animal has served the human population for since very long. I mean, since ages. And we can see lately we have started its use as a milk, as a dairy animal. Why? Because the milk, was having a lot of potential. So I'll share my slides. So my slides are visible, sir?
Yeah, it's visible. Yeah.
So we can see here actually the population of camel has reduced a lot. It was somewhere about 11 million in 1950s, but now it has reduced to just 0.25 million in India. Why? Because actually we have a lot of social taboos due to which we cannot undertake its slaughter and so many things. And that's why these, due to mechanization, the numbers have reduced drastically. But we have found out an alternate use of the animal, and this use actually is having a very good potential for human health. Why? Because you can see that the population, the diabetic population is increasing throughout India very fast, and this milk actually is being used as a source of insulin. This is a natural source of insulin, and apart from it, the major use has been the presence of immunoglobulins. It is See why? Because this is the actually the crux behind it. Why we are using milk, and otherwise we can see that the animal, since it is being reared in the arid zone, so definitely the animal which is reared under very harsh conditions, it is very less susceptible to diseases. It can consume a lot of roughage component to produce milk. And if we see the total in total, if we compare between the species, so you can see the immunoglobulin content is very high. It is 1.64 milligram per ml. I will like to tell the house that see, immunoglobulin content in most of the species, it reduces to about nil in about 21 days of time after the birth of the calf or a kid or any young one. But in case of the camel, this immunoglobulin content remains throughout the lactation, and the lactation persists for almost 12 to 18 months. So you can well imagine that how much beneficial is this. Why? Because see, most of the diseases which are occurring now, they actually reduce your they actually reduce the your potential to fight the diseases. So this helps the immunoglobulins. They help in overcoming such an response. So we can see here that the if you take the other elements into milk components of milk, the milk is as good as the other milks, and the milk production is also quite high in different breeds. And we are having 4 breeds at our place. One is Bikaneri, Jaisalmeri, Kutchi, and Mewadi. So all these 4 breeds. Apart from this, we are 2 breeds. There are 2 breeds which we are not having presently at our farm. One is Kharai, which is in the run of Kutch area, and another is the double hump camel in Ladakh. So since these 2 we are unable to simulate those conditions at our center, so we are not keeping them. But otherwise, these animals, they are also having milk of similar. So here you can see the immunoglobulin content. It is very high. So in case of camel, and in this slide you can see here that the production is as good as 3 to 10 liters, and we can increase the production to almost 20 liters in a day. So this is the beauty of having the camel in such a arid zone. And why? Because the camel can produce milk even with very low inputs. So that is the basic thing. And the major advantages of you can see here the presence of insulin. See, the insulin is present in very high quantities, and this is natural source which the diabetic people, they can make use of. So if we see the components, different components, since we are saying that the milk, camel milk the camel is a storehouse of so many input for so many diseases. So because all the components of the milk, they are actually helping the human health in some or the other way. So you can see here the protein component, and in case of protein, the major component in case of bovine milk is beta-lactalbumin, and this is the major cause of allergies. Whereas in case of camel milk, beta-lactalbumin is not present, and alpha-lactalbumin is the main component. So this, due to presence of this lactalbumin, so the allergy component is not seen in case of milk, in case of the camel milk, and the young ones or the adults which are having this problem of having allergy to milk, they can use this milk very safely. And apart from this, the presence of lactose, because some of the people, they have lactose intolerance. So in case of bovine milk, the lactose is present as alpha rotatory, and whereas in case of the camel milk, it is present as dextrorotatory. So this lactose also, the people who are having lactose intolerance, they can also consume this milk very safely. So this is the major thing. And you can see in the milk fat component, because the milk fat, since it is very low, So, but the milk fat is very digestible, and the average cholesterol content is also low. So it is easy to digest. It is as good as having, you consume, if you are consuming human milk. So it is good for infants. So we can see here the mineral content is also very high, and it can be safely used for the kids. So, but in the shelf life of the camel milk is very high, is better than cattle and buffaloes. Why? Because there is a presence of thiocyanate and lactoperoxidase. So these are the two components due to which the shelf life is very high. So normally the milk doesn't get spoiled, because earlier there was a notion that if you keep camel milk outside, it gets spoiled. So this can be safely used for very long periods. So the earlier I talked to you about the hypoglycemic effect, means those people who have diabetes, they can get benefited with this. We conducted studies on human subjects in association with the SP Medical College at Bikaner, and for almost 10 years, and we found that most of the patients, they recovered when they were consuming around 500 ml of milk daily. So this is one of the very, very good options wherein they can consume the natural milk as a natural substitute for insulin. See, now the question is how to transport this milk, because at present the scenario is the milk is available in India throughout the country. The question is how to transport, because we have the supply chain, actually it has to be triggered off, and because of this we conducted a lot of studies, and we found that if we pasteurize it at a low temperature of 72 degrees, even for 15 seconds, though there is a reduction of almost 10 to 14% of insulin, but still the quantity of insulin, almost 24.35, is quite good. Is available for human consumption, for human use. So the milk can be transported to very long distance, even if we pasteurize it at a low temperature. So this gives us a beneficial effect, and because if we transport the raw milk, it can get spoiled if we are transporting it to a long distance, maybe to Bangalore or Chennai or anywhere in India. But if we pasteurize it, it can be safely transported even to very long distances. And this pasteurized milk, you can keep it for almost a year's time, even if you put it in the frozen conditions. So in the next slide you can see the antioxidant activity, because the antioxidant activity actually it helps in major things. Here actually I have shown why, because this most of the milks, they see in case of cattle and buffalo milk, we prepare the curd, we prepare the lassi. That gives a beneficial effect. Here also, if we do fermentation of the normal milk, it gives you a better response. So presently we are trying to make such product out of it, which can be used for a very long time, and it gives a better effect. So another is the hypocholesterolemic effect, because most of the people, they suffer from high cholesterol, whereas if you consume camel milk, the cholesterol content in humans, it remains checked, and it can be of major use. So another is the anti-microbial effect. See, in most of the species, this is not the quantity of camel. If we consume camel milk, it helps you to get rid of many other microbes in the tract. So it gives you a better response compared to other milks. So another is the hypoallergy effect. So this actually I just told you earlier, because of the presence of beta-lactalbumin present in the milk, those people or the children or the adults which are suffering from allergies of protein, they can be benefited by use of this camel milk. So it has anti-cancerous properties also. The results have shown that this milk can be used for anti-cancer patients. Why? Because See, in most of the people, those who are suffering from cancer, the tuberculosis, what happens is that the immune status gets reduces, and due to presence of immunoglobulins in camel milk, it helps you to recover. It helps you to fight the diseases. So another study actually we did it on tuberculosis. Here also we found that there were when we give camel milk, there was increase in appetite, the increase in zinc content, the increase in the immunoglobulin content, and this was the presence of immunoglobulins. You know, they helped to recover these patients in a faster way. So we can definitely say that this helps in camel milk also helps in giving you immunity. Improves your immunity. So another was the effect on the autistic children. Why? Because the autism is increasing very fast, and lately we conducted studies with a unit in Faridkot, and we found that those children which were given camel milk, they recovered at a far faster pace. So this actually the autism actually develops because of presence of casomorphin in the blood, and this is mostly happening in those places where there is excess of fertilization of plants, and excess use of insecticides and pesticides. So the children, they are actually becoming autistic by about 2 to 3 months of age. Sooner they have the sooner they actually the immunoglobulin status of the children, they gets reduced, or the input from the mother gets reduced. This thing comes up. So, but in those children which were given the camel milk, there was a faster recovery of the autistic symptoms of autism. So those children, they were able to walk properly, they were able to spell out properly, because most of the students, they have such
problems. Interrupt you, sir.
Had the problems.
Yeah, Rajesh, we just have a few more minutes to close. Will it be done by then?
Yes, sure, madam.
This is an amazing thing. I mean, I'll ask you some questions.
I'll just tell you that,
yes, sir. Please go ahead.
The major actually advantage with milk is that it helps in it aids in many treatments. So this is actually a storehouse of so many things. So now the basic opportunities of entrepreneurship which are there. One is the collection, raising of dairy camels. See, lately on 19th of February, there a camel dairy unit came out in, it was established by a private entrepreneur in Coimbatore. So we were there in Coimbatore on 19th of February, and earlier to that there was one unit was established in Hyderabad, and because of the demand from many states, the camel milk has started moving out from Rajasthan and Gujarat to many parts of the country. So there are opportunities for entrepreneurship, like in case of collection, then transport of the milk, then processing and packaging of the camel milk, then marketing of camel milk. So these are the major actually opportunities wherein people and new entrepreneurs can come up and they can intervene to get opportunities. So here you can see one dairy in the Gulf. So they are actually producing milk in a very systematized way. So you can contact us at our with address on 0151 2233013183, and there is a website on. We have a website, and on this website we have posted almost most of the information on camel use of camel milk. So I think that today's this deliberation will be useful for people who are suffering from major diseases like diabetes, autism, tuberculosis, and there are many other diseases for which the milk has been used.
Yes. Sir, Dr. Rajesh, this was wonderful listening to you. And I didn't know that camel milk had so many benefits. It's a probiotic, all right, but there are so many products in it. And then you're also talking about autism being reduced when detected at an early stage. And also, you know, that people who actually have a gluten intolerance for other milk, right? Some of them switch over to almond milk and peanut milk and all of that, right? Now, there's also camel milk. So that's something that's very new for us, because being a part of South India, our access to these kind of products is lesser, right? But we have more access to almond and, you know, other spices. But is it accessible now? Is it off the shelf?
It is accessible in Bangalore. You can get the milk throughout India. Because earlier I had just shown you that at one part of time, we were not able to sell this milk. And the people who actually, the farmers were suffering from, that was the major reason the population was getting reduced. Right. But now in this last census, the population of female camels has increased by about 40%. Nice. Why? Because the demand of milk has increased, and presently we are the country is selling around 1,500 liters of camel milk daily, and it's being supplied throughout India. So you can well imagine the demand is coming from almost all quarters of all parts of India.
So one question here, that's fantastic. What about the shelf life? How long is it really helpful? Is that taken care of in your distribution channels?
I have shown you, because there are two things. One was presence of thiocyanate, another is, and because of that, you can keep this milk for almost 10 to 12 hours in open. Whereas in case of cattle and buffalo milk, you can keep it for 7 to 8 hours. The other reason is that the lactose content, the milk and the protein content and other contents are lower than the other species. So this is the major advantage. So that is the reason why the shelf life is higher. But once it is pasteurized, you can transport it to a very long distance. Even low temperature pasteurization is very good.
Okay. So which means whatever is available in any other part of India would obviously be pasteurized milk, and then
see, most of the patients, you know, they try to consume fresh milk, but there's so many diseases can come up with fresh milk. Why? Because the dairy in case of camel is not so organized, but slowly it is getting organized. Whereas in case of cattle and buffalo, it was already organized, and the hygienic milk production is going on. Whereas in case of camel, we are trying to teach the farmers, help the farmers how to do hygienic milking, and slowly, though the things are improving, but definitely looking to the demand, the things maybe in times to come, it will improve in a much better fashion.
Thank you so much for sharing this information, sir. It was extremely informative and an eye-opener for at least me and perhaps a few of us who are listening in. Thank you for coming in today and sharing this. I would like to thank all the speakers who have come in today with this, because we come to the end of the webinar, and we've had a very stimulating session, right from Mr. Trivedi being there, and then, you know, we had the farmer, Naresh ji and Trivedi ji from Excel Breeding Company, and one Mr. John Varghese from the audience has requested for a connect, because they want to see if it can be that as a solution can also be used in Kerala. I'll try and put them on and connect them. I'll take this forward on the mail and let's see how it works. And Vinay, Dr. Shantanu, and Mr. Ravi and Rajesh Savalji, thank you so much, Doctor, for coming in and sharing all the knowledge that is there. And then also for us to know a little more about what your institutes are doing. Because many a time we just have a very basic idea and we don't know the details. We know that, you know, there's some good amount of work going on, but I think you gave us a very detailed one and it really helped. I would like to tell all of you that all these technologies that are present here today in English will be replicated in different vernacular languages, and it will reach out a larger target audience. I will share more details on the mail thread to take this forward. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a very great weekend.